There is a business story that's having major political implications, and tons of people are just misinterpreting the story, totally misunderstanding the story. And the story is that longtime gun manufacturer Remington has filed for bankruptcy. Remington has been around for a couple hundred years, since 1816. They're going to continue to be around. They make the Bushmaster AR-15 style rifle that a lot of people just love. That's the same type of rifle that was used in the Sandy Hook school shooting 6 years ago. Remington has been sued by family members of Sandy Hook victims. They've also had to deal with defective rifles, which we actually did an interview about with Arthur Bryant. Remington rifles that were spontaneously firing. Very, very scary stuff. But the confusions here are twofold. Number one is the confusion that Remington is in trouble financially because of anti-gun propaganda. And confusion number two is that Remington, in filing for bankruptcy, is going away. Remington's just not going to make guns anymore. Both are false, and I want to break each of these down. So first of all, Remington is going to stay in business. Yeah, they've been doing poorly as a business. They have about $700 million in debt. They are filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but this is a mechanism that lets them restructure their business and continue manufacturing and selling guns. This is sort of a financial transaction that they're involved in. It's not a going out of business thing where they're going to just give away all their AR-15s at a fraction of the retail cost. The other issue, and this is the more interesting one to me, is that some right-wingers, sort of the pro-gun fetishists, are looking at this news from Remington, of course, misunderstanding the reality of this bankruptcy filing and saying, look at this. The anti-gun left has been spreading their anti-gun propaganda, and now they have led to the downfall of just a true blue American institution in Remington. Think about how ridiculous that is. First of all, there were record gun sales under Barack Obama when Democrats actually had some influence over gun policy. We know that the thing that sells the most guns is the fear that someone's going to take the guns away. When President Obama was president, all you heard from the gun fetishists was Obama's going to take your guns. You saw the opposite. You saw record gun sales. And then on the other hand, under Trump, you've seen the entire industry of gun manufacturers and gun sales go down, right? It's not just Remington. It's that all of a sudden the NRA isn't saying the Democrat in the White House is going to take your guns. Alex Jones isn't saying the Democrat in the White House is going to take your guns. They're not scaring you with the possibility of a black Muslim Democrat from Indonesia or whatever the conspiracy theory was, who's going to take your guns. You don't feel as eager to go out and buy guns. But this is not something that's disproportionately impacting Remington. The entire gun industry is in trouble. Sturm Ruger, or is it Ruger? I never remember how to pronounce it. They've laid off hundreds of workers. Smith & Wesson has had terrible earnings. So this is a problem specifically for Remington only because their quality control has been troubled since they were taken over by a company called the Freedom Group, which is a name reminiscent of the Ministry of Peace in 1984 by George Orwell. It doesn't have to do with anti-gun propaganda. It doesn't have to do with anti-gun activism. If anything, what we've seen is that the anti-gun propaganda and the anti-gun activism actually helps sell more guns. So if only the pro-gun fetishists understood the story, you might see more reasonable comments from them. But I wouldn't be holding my breath that we're going to hear that from them anytime soon. Today's program is sponsored in part by Movement. I have found that cheap sunglasses usually look terrible, but whenever I buy expensive pairs, I feel like I'm getting ripped off, and I often end up losing them, which is not good. Thankfully, our friends at Movement, who are known to you maybe as the watch guys — I still have my Movement watch, which attracts a lot of attention everywhere I go — they are now making quality, trendy sunglasses at really fair prices. They're not plastic. They're made from acetate. They have lots of styles to choose from. They've got the classic styles, trendy, round, aviator, mirrored, polarized for him and her. And all of these start at just $70. And they are now my go-to sunglasses. I've got two pairs. I keep one in my car. I keep one next to my keys and wallet at home for when I go out without the car. And much like with the watch, people have started to say, hey, where'd you get those sunglasses? Those look really good. They must be really expensive. And I always am able to say, they do look expensive, but they're not. And I was recently, as some of you know, in Miami Beach. I had my Movement sunglasses with me, and it was great. They are just the perfect sunglasses. They come with their own very, very sturdy case. And best of all, finding the perfect pair is risk-free with free shipping and free returns, which are the calling cards of Movement. You can get 15% off today by going to mvmt.com/Pakman, 15% off with free shipping and free returns. You already know Movement because of their revolutionizing of the watch industry, and you can now check out their sunglasses at mvmt.com/PAKMAN.